Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and the rest of YouTube. Welcome to another edition of GNN. And with that, we have a new banner suit coming to grace us tonight. But before we get into the nitty gritty, let's go over some news with this update. Alright folks, before we begin into our main event, we have the return of ranked matches. This time, the 8th iteration is taking place on Tropical Desert at 350, with basically you and 11 other people duking it out for top spot. Now, of course, anybody that's not familiar with brawls, or essentially ranked to be specific, since that's what we're going for, is the fact that we are competing and we're matchmaked in a specific bracket in A, for example, and we are basically competing similar to clan matches at an individual basis to go for the top spot. Now, what makes that super important is the fact that we are now also in this iteration getting, for those of you guys that aren't able to play clan matches, potentially can get the GM Spartan from the Black Dog Squadron, which is more notably known from the Code Fairy video game, as a potential reward if you place in the top spot. Now that could vary depending on what your rating is, but for those of you guys that have this suit, the level 2 is actually here, which is actually pretty crazy because that now brings it up to 450. So a lot of you guys can go cosplay Black Dog Squadrons all day with the general version of this suit, which is pretty neat. Now, on top of that reward, we do get the Eat Knife at level 2 and DP rewards. And if you don't have this already, the top 10 groups will also get Neidhart as a operator. So that's pretty neat. But I am looking forward to getting the 450 suit because I have to have it in my collection. So, on to the next page. Alright folks, our main event is the 2-star High Boost GM, as they call it. It's still a RGM-79, but as clearly from certain aesthetics, it's based off a GM command towards the end of the 1 Year War, or at the end actually. It's coming in at a 350 cost, and it's a raid. So there's a big focus on movement speed and booster units, as noted in the fluff tech, as they mentioned it's attached to its legs and hip area. So this thing's going to be probably a low-cost camper to some people with really nasty melees. But what makes this suit very unique, being not just aesthetics, is the fact that it comes with a aerial melee controller, a specific unique skill to this suit, which allows it to do a melee attack mid-air, which is pretty nutty already. So you combine something with a unique melee like this and speed, it's pretty crazy, and I honestly can't wait to take a look at this. On top of that, if you're doing 10 pulls for this suit, they are giving the standard yellow Federation normal suit, both the helmet and the suit itself. So if you don't have this as part of your Federation Pride, this potentially is what you could get. But because it's a 2-star, I leave it up to you guys. Aside from our main event, we have a limited supply drop for the Jesta. So now we have the level 2 version available. If you don't own this suit, I can definitely vouch for its performance at 600. It is something that I can definitely consider taking more over other suits. At the same time, it's got a slight learning curve, but it might be kind of interesting and fun to take this into 650, considering that it is one of the few generals that has maneuver armor, no dodge, but has a certain unique way to play it compared to a lot of the other, we'll say, melee heavy suits and ones that transform. Could hold its weight at 650, but only time will tell, and certainly the people that might be a lot more talented than I am. So let's get into the nitty-gritty stats behind the new GM. Alright folks, so looking at this, you might think that, well, to offset its pure speed and melee capability that the devs might have stumped this suit before it even came out as a 2-star. All I can tell you is comparing this to the stock resistances and, you know, basically the paper, you know, the stats on paper to the 350 cost GM command, is that it's pretty similar. It's pretty much on par with a lot more improvements in mobility, which ties into the fluff text and the background lore behind the suit. Now, we do have a set of machine pistols coming in at 70 power with 50 rounds. And you might think, well, are these better than the Pixie machine guns, the dual pistoles, the Desperados, if you will? And I can tell you, playing around in practice, that the buildup is fairly quick. And with the range at 175, which does kind of put it in the closer range, it's able to, if given the opportunity, to essentially set itself up for those combos that you'll see in the demonstration video. At the same time, because it's short range, it does kind of lend in a way to where it's really up to the player, and the player kind of has to make smart decisions to decide to commit or essentially try to poke with the grenades that it comes with, which we'll go over shortly. And it has Vulcans too, but I would say that these are definitely better than the Pixie in that sense. There's a lot more, I feel like there's a lot more offensive capability to get that quick build up to throw somebody off and get those hits in. Speaking of melee, we do have a beam saber coming in at 1900 compared to a lot of the generals and everything that comes in at, I think, 1600 base or 1700 base. This is, I think, a big deal with 2.5 seconds. And it does have a unique melee swing, so this is not your standard Freddy swings. So I know some people are going to probably have problems getting them connect in a certain way. I know I will. I was already having that issue trying to go through practice on that. Vulcans are the late enhanced versions coming in at 80 power, 30 shots at a range of 150, which, if anything, if you don't get all your shots on the machine guns there, the machine pistols, the Vulcans, I think, will help finish the job, and they do stun up pretty quickly too. So it does have some tools. I don't know how they work in tandem with the grenades, but they are enhanced. So I mean, you have tools. Now, of course, we do have the icing on the cake here, the unique beam sabers, dual wielding, which basically is a thrusting motion with both sabers, almost kind of like the position that the Atlas used in the anime, where it was trying to get out of the water. Basically, it's a thrust motion that this unit uses in a very lunging way, and it's pretty potent. But I could see it being, you know, with the right person that's experienced, it could be countered too. 3.5 seconds sounds about right for something unique like this. You're probably going to be relying on this more, but the neutral on the High Boost Beam Saber is a downward chopping. So similar to the powered GM. So this is probably going to be an easy follow-up from my brief time with it. Going into the specifics here, we only have a melee combo once, so you are going to be relying between the main saber and that secondary saber to kind of chain things together on top of all your other weapons. But you do get the Assault Booster 3, Leg Shock Absorber 3, Ambok at 2, so this thing's going to be nasty in space for sure. Balancers, Maneuver Armor 2, which is pretty nutty. Force Injector 2, Overboost 2, which is crazy for a low-cost suit. This is definitely going to catch some eyes and break some necks in 350. And it's aerial melee system, which is pretty nutty. Mid-air, or when a set distance from the ground. So definitely something to kind of keep in mind. It has flight control too, so this is definitely low-cost Mark II level of things, and some other Freddy suits, as well as a anti-blast stabilizer. So yeah, this thing's gonna be scary on the field, but it's not. It's gonna be squishy too, based on all this here. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, that does about it for the High Boost GM and associated news. If you guys enjoyed this video, found it informative, like and subscribe. Please, anything helps out the channel, helps the YouTube algorithm and everything. And if there's anything that you like to hear, see, want me to go in more depth with the next banner suit or even this current one, please let me know in the comments below. I definitely check those out. I may not be able to respond to them all the time, but I definitely do see them nonetheless. So, ladies and gentlemen, until the next banner, I will see you all on the next video.